This question is from Bridget from Nebraska. She said, feminists preach day in and day out that women should be victims and choose their careers over husbands and families, and publicly shame women who believe otherwise. How do you think that young conservative women can fight back against the current feminist movement?
So the third wave feminist movement is really despicable. The first wave feminist movement, which said that women should have equal access to the workplace, should be able to work any job for which they are qualified, and should be able to make life decisions accordingly, I'm a big fan of. Right? As you may have heard, my wife is a doctor. My mother ran companies. She still runs companies. I'm a big fan of women working if they choose to work. When my wife finishes med school, she's probably going to work part-time because she wants to spend more time at home with the kids. The great lie of the feminist movement is, number one, that all women are going to choose the same thing, and number two, that the choice that is most common among women is the worst choice. Right? The choice that is most common among women is to spend a disproportionate amount of time with their kids. You know why? Because it's awesome. It's awesome. Women have a superpower. That superpower is they can create another human. Okay, and then they can nurse that other human with their own body. It's an amazing, amazing thing. Okay, and feminists have said this is the worst thing about being a woman, is that you actually have to do this sort of stuff. It's like if I could fly and people were like, oh, well, that's the worst thing about you. You create an entire new generation of human beings, and then you keep them alive yourself. Right? That's an unbelievable thing. And it's that nurturing that kids need. It's not just you as a source of nutrients. Okay, there are plenty of scientific studies that show what kids actually want is the bonding time with the parents. There's a very famous famous study of rhesus monkeys, where they gave rhesus monkeys, baby rhesus monkeys, the choice between a bottle. There's a machine that was not soft in any way, with a bottle, and a basically stuffed animal that they could lie in. And the monkeys, these rhesus monkeys that were hungry, would choose to go lie with the stuffed animal rather than go to the machine that was feeding them the bottle. Every species is looking for bonding, and this is particularly true for mothers and kids. Mothers want to take more time off than fathers. Fact, end of story. Okay, this is just the way it works. That's not true for every woman or every man, right? It is true for most women, and on average it is true. Okay, so when my first child was born, my wife took off a full year. When my first child was born, I took off a full week. Right? When my second child was born, my wife took off 3 months. When my second child was born, I took off like 3 days. Okay, that's not because I don't want to spend time at home with my kids. I probably right now spend more time with my kids than my wife does because she's in residency. But it is also true that my wife desperately hates having to choose between working longer hours and being with our kids. It's a choice that men don't really seem to agonize over quite as much. And so when the feminist movement lies to people, and they say, the feminist movement lies to everybody all the time about this stuff. They say, first of all, women can have it all. No one can have it all in any endeavor. Right? You always have to make choices, and choices come with trade-offs. You can either work those extra hours and work for a partner, or you can actually bring up a child and do the most important work that any human being ever does, which is bring up your child correctly. Right? These choices actually matter, and they have consequences. And disparaging people who are going to be responsible for the future of civilization in order so that you can really, really make partner at that law firm by billing a few more hours, that seems like a piss-poor choice to me in a lot of cases. So, again, if you want to choose that, your business, it's a free country. But the idea that women are happier when they choose this is just not borne out by the evidence. It's certainly not borne out by the idea that when women hit 40, suddenly they're desperate to have a child. They don't have a kid, they're not married, but they've made partner, and now they're truly happy. Okay, that is just, as a general rule, not true. And there are a lot of people lying to themselves about it. Again, I think that the most important thing is to think individually about what you want from life. And everybody wants a different thing from life. But it is not a bad thing. It is a very, very good thing if you want to get married and have children. It is what makes civilization happen. It is women civilizing men and women bringing up children, and it is men protecting women and men protecting children, and that basic math is the foundation of Western civilization. That basic math is the foundation of any workable civilization. Again, that doesn't mean women shouldn't work. It doesn't mean men shouldn't spend time with their kids. My wife works. I spend lots of time with the kids. But if you don't have those basic preconditions, civilization won't exist. If the feminists ran everything, would be done in 2 generations.